for
The
their
advice
child.
that I would give any parent right now is to prioritize recovery just as much as you prioritize training, and make sure you're training joint specifically. Because when you really understand where most of the injuries in sports are coming from these days, they're not coming from contact. They're coming from misuse of the body. They're coming from you bent the paper clip one too many times and it snapped. So the more that you understand how your body moves, the more you tap into joint specific strength and joint specific training, you're setting yourself up for longevity. You're
I
setting
love that.
yourself up to understand how you move and move smart and train smart.
Peace and love, beautiful people. Welcome to episode 2 of the Bare Athlete podcast. I'm here with a very good friend. We've been working together for almost a year now. I want to introduce to you, she is a mobility specialist for the youth, amongst many other things. And I'll let her talk about all that. But I want to introduce to you Miss Jasmine.
Hi. Hi, welcome everyone. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah. Can you give a quick bio for the people who may know you, may not know you, etc.?
Yeah. So my name is Coach Jasmine. I also go by the Hip Architect. As Jordan said, I'm a mobility specialist. And mainly at this time am working with youth athletes starting around the age 13 and taking them through college. To me, this is really important phase in their lives as athletes, is when they're learning their bodies. Their bodies are already growing, changing due to puberty and other things in this age. But also, it's when they start coming into their own. And if you can instill, or if I can instill at this age, the understanding of that body, the body awareness, then they have that ability to really take that and carry that within them for the duration of their sports career. So it's training from a different perspective. It is focusing on joint mobility, joint strength, and really independent movements of each joint.
Love it, love it, love it. Super important. And yeah, I think not enough athletes are really locked into the mobility aspect of things and just the understanding of mobility.
Yes.
And which is why I definitely want to have you on this conversation. And if this is your first time listening to this podcast, it probably is because the episode 2. This whole podcast and the continuous conversations I'll be having with different people is about athletes and their feet. So whether you are an athlete, you train athletes, you recover athletes, whatever capacity you work with athletes, manage athletes, whatever, or an ex-athlete, and talking about their feet and everything above that, right? So just like the foundation of it. So the first question I want to kick off, and this is a big shout out to one of my favorite movies, Brown Sugar. You know Brown Sugar?
Yes, I know
Like
brown sugar.
you know it. Okay, cool, cool. So the
Where we
first
go?
question that Sydney Shaw kicks off all her interviews with is, when did you first fall in love with your feet? But if you know
When did I
that,
first fall in love with my feet? I would say actually March, April. And it was falling in love with feeling better in my legs as a whole. So for about a year, I was waking up just experiencing ankle pain, ankle soreness, stiffness, to the point where I was moving. So, a lot of back and forth, in and out, carrying stuff. Ended up wearing an ankle brace. And there was not, I'm going to say no cause, but there was nothing, no major injury, no twist, no sprain. And it was when I started training my feet, working with you, Jordan. And then, of course, learning more about mobility. And again, working with my feet specifically, working with my ankles specifically. And all of a sudden, the random pains went away. Funny, when I added strength to that area of my body, I started feeling better. So that's when I fell in love with it. It's been a new
beautiful,
love, but it's been a good love. Like, it feels good. I wake up every day feeling good.
good. I love that. I love that. I'm grateful to be a part of that journey for
Yes.
you. Um, we'll pause really quick because technology has just been working with us so beautifully, right? It's just so amazing. So I have this microphone here, right, and it seems like I'm using it. I looked at this thing. It is using the laptop microphone, not this microphone. But we just gonna keep rolling as if I'm talking to this microphone.
Well, you
Um,
sound clear here on my end. Yes,
perfect. I'm just, I'm like, why is it still picking up audio? But okay, because it's not this. It's just here for show. Um, no, but I'm grateful that I was been a part of that process. In that journey, we started working together in January in a business coaching dynamic, and then that kind of evolved into like, hey, you should dive deeper into how you work with your athletes in this capacity. I think in training, really training you in mobility
yes,
so you could just have more better control over your body, and then that led into, I like this, how do I do this for myself?
exactly. That's really how it happened is I mean, I started off, I had my yoga certification, so I was working with athletes, really focusing on how yoga can help them train, how it can help with their recovery, and how it can help them understand their body. But what I was learning and seeing for myself with yoga, and then the more I started working with you and doing the FRC mobility, is yoga is only a piece of the puzzle. So it was that connection between mobility and yoga for me, but it was this is really going to be that piece that trains and strengthens the joints. And I felt it, like you said, we went through a couple of sessions and I was like, oh, I really like this. I like how I feel. And I can also understand how I can coach this based on how I know the body, based on how I can cue the body to get into stretch positions. I can then take that and add strength. So yes, that was my path, was feeling that connection in my body and saying, this is going to help athletes. And I want to be that one that shares this with them. So where do I go? How do I sign up? And
Yeah,
there was an
yeah,
FRC class like the week after we spoke about it. I was like, okay, it's meant to be. I'm getting the certification.
nice. So switching into that, how do you feel like doing the foot mobility I was doing, and like just the foot movement, just I was having a Free Your Feet Fridays
Yes.
virtual class. How do you feel like that as well as FRC has changed the way you work and changed the way you look at your athletes' feet and mobility overall?
Yes. So one of the fundamentals in FRC is looking for compensations, looking for when you cue someone to work through their ankle, are you seeing their knee move? Are you seeing their hip move? So, and then it's also understanding why your body has these compensations. So, first, you want to isolate the joints, but you also have to have respect and understanding of the kinetic chain. If you want to run, there's 4 or 5 different joints that have to move and all have to move in sync and all have to carry their load. So, how can I train your hip if your hip is compensating for your foot? How can I train your knee if your knee is compensating for your foot? So, it starts with the feet. And just about every athlete, every sport requires you to run, requires you to walk. So, if your step is imbalanced, your whole body is going to be imbalanced. That imbalance, that movement that's incorrect, you're feeling it in the knees, you're feeling it in the hips, the shoulders, the whole body absorbs an incorrect step. So it is training from the ground up.
Love that. Love that. It's everything is connected. And I think that is one of the things I've learned in being a body worker. Definitely still learning. Been in body work for just about like 10 years now. 10, 10 real years. And knowing like you learn the body, you kind of learn it in pieces and you hear like, oh, it all works together. And it's like,
Yes,
does it really? And then in time you start working on people. For me, I started working on people and realizing like I'll work on their left foot and now their right hip is feeling better. Like they felt
yeah.
pain in their right hip and I'm like, oh, let me just work this. And it's like, wow, that feels better. And it's like, okay, then I start to understand gait and everything, how they work together. And it's a beautiful thing.
hmm Or like I say to people, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Mhm.
like if you were in like a restaurant that had like frosted glass from like here down, you would still see the person that has a limp walk past you. So it
Yeah.
just goes to show you like how much again your step moves into your entire body.
What do you feel like is your one of your biggest challenges working with specifically youth athletes and getting them to adapt to your way of working or your way of implementing mobility?
I'd say the biggest challenge is I don't work with weights. I don't work with a lot of props. I'm not in a gym. And also, from far away, the mobility work looks relatively easy. It's a lot of isometric stretches. It's a lot of taking you to your end range and holding until your body learns to absorb that new position. So it's yes, I never said it was going to be easy. I never said it was going to be simple. And it is challenging your body in a whole different way than what they're used to. It is really tapping into a body awareness, a body very specific movement patterns that takes a lot of concentration. That's not something that you can fake. I think that's the hardest part. They are young. They are still coming into their own. And this is a body awareness I definitely didn't have at 15, 16 years old. I mean, even one of my youngest clients is 10. And I truly commend her for her maturity and how she shows up and how she takes cues. Because would I have had that mindset at 10 and that awareness and skill set? I don't think so. So I think like
Yeah.
that's the challenge. And then also when you do bring in the barefoot aspect, especially if it's in a group setting, there's the social awareness. There's the do I want to pull my feet out in public? There's the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
do I want the world to see my toes?
Right. There's a one of my good homies, good brother back in Atlanta. It's actually funny because I gave him his first, when I had a studio, I gave him his first space to teach a class and host like
Yes.
a weekly class. And he teaches yoga and he teaches it with his socks on. And I'm like to this day, he still does it. I'm like, bro, you got to free.
That's fine.
I'm like, bro, you got to free the feet. He was like, yeah, I feel you. Was like, honestly, he's a hooper. Like his thing is like one of his things for a point in time. Even today, like he teaches yoga for basketball athletes, and it's great. Like he's doing work with the Hawks. He's doing work with all like the Hawk affiliations, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's amazing.
bro, you're killing it. Like he's just stayed in his lane and kept just grinding at it. And but he still got the socks on, and his thing is like I meet the kids where they at. Like I am them. Like I am them. Like not too afraid to take my feet out and like so it's okay. Like keep your socks on. You still gonna get this work in even
Yes.
with the socks on. And I'm like yeah. And I'm like and for me because I'm the foot guy.
You're all in.
I'm like yo because I don't even I'm like socks. Who owns those anymore? I'm like I just go straight like raw dog into my shoes, which are all barefoot shoes anyway. But I'm like, if you go in there barefoot and like now teaching these kids at 15, 16, that age range that it's okay to be barefoot and like get your feet out and get comfortable with your feet. If
Yeah.
you do it, they will do it too. And I fully get like meeting people where they at. And it's like, I feel like I would maybe start the class with socks on and be like, okay, cool. Now we're gonna take our socks off. Like middle of class. Like, okay, cool. Now we're gonna take our socks off because we want to be able to connect and look down and that
Yes.
they're already in their body. So it's all good. He's doing the
It,
work. He's clearly working for him.
it's
Uh,
phases. I had a one of my athletes, he had a towel over his feet. I was like, look, as long as the toes are moving underneath the towel, I'll let it rock. Okay.
that's hilarious. That's
Like I let it
hilarious.
happen. Like,
Yeah.
but it was the baby steps. That's what he needed to do to get
Yeah.
used to the concept that like, okay, we're doing something different. And the
Yeah.
more I just coach them through it, like it's going to be different, but I'm also going to explain why. And I'm a big advocate on explaining the why. I don't, even with my son, I don't want to just say, just do it just because. No, you need to do it because your feet are supposed to have dexterity. The wider you can get your toes spread, even like if there's the camera in the room, we point to the tripod. The wider you spread, the more stability. You want to protect against, rolled ankles. You want to protect against Achilles tears and all of these different things that can happen and you've seen your friends go through. So that's another way to like really hone into them the importance of it is why are you doing this? How is it going to help you on the field? How is it going to help you on the court? Where does it show up in the game?
Yeah. And definitely that's what athletes care about. They're like, what's the
Yes.
athletes care about the performance. They're not like looks for sure, but definitely the performance. And to the looks part, we kind of started the conversation and we were trying to like harness it yesterday a little bit.
Yes.
How do you feel like the culture and the looks appearance of things affect this barefoot life or just freeing the feet life?
I think the culture has a huge thing to do with it because I can get them barefoot in here. Could I get them in a pair of barefoot sneakers to wear to school? No. Are they giving up their Jordans? Are they giving up their Tims? Are they giving up their Yeezys? No, they're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me because people will wear shoes and know, and they're like, yeah, I don't think it's really hurt my feet. So why are you wearing them? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just the sneakers, it's the heels, it's the red bottoms, it's the stilettos. I do it too, not often, but I put my heels on about 3, 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
some outfits just don't look right with a sneaker.
Yeah. So and it's definitely, man, I can't even, I haven't, I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm grateful. Like either the lifestyle that I'm choosing, but I haven't put on like non barefoot shoes. And I had 2 weddings,
Yes,
like my own weddings.
yes.
Um, I haven't wear like non barefoot shoes in. Well, I was running in some earlier this year, like January through March. I was running in some Adidas, and
Mhm.
the last time I wore them, I remember feeling like I had high heels on. Like
Yes,
at the end of my run, literally felt my heels higher, and like I was just like I was just falling forward, and which
yes.
is what the shoes are designed to do. They're supposed to like propel you
Yeah,
forward.
you're
This,
supposed to, like, pivot off that heel.
yeah,
But
and I run in Adidas Ultra Boost, so the heel is like super lifted, and it's like it's literally a high heel. And I remember feeling that, and I remember feeling like my toes are getting numb towards the
yeah,
end of my run. And I was like, I know runners say this is normal, but this doesn't feel normal. So other than that, I was wearing barefoot shoes in my daily,
yes,
here and there. But on my runs, I was still wearing Adidas Ultra Boost. And fortunately, I made the switch fully to Vivo Barefoot because they came out with a running shoe, and I run in those. And I'm running the most I've ever ran. Training for a half marathon currently, my first half marathon, and doing 10 miles. Like every week I'm running 10 miles, like not
mhm.
every day, but every week, once or twice a week, I run 10 miles. And it's like, I'm doing that. Like, wow. Like in barefoot shoes and feeling great. Like no knee pain, no hip pain, nothing.
And you have convinced me. I have not bought my barefoot shoes yet, but it's even just the mindset of when I put my foot in a pair of shoes, I have to check, like, is your arch where my arch is? Does this shoe feel right within my foot? And if I can't convince my athletes to wear barefoot sneakers, I at least try to get them to be mindful of that. Forget the style. When you put on your shoes, how do they feel in your foot? Does it feel like it's lifting your arch up in a place where that's not your natural lift? Does it feel like you said, and you're in a high heel? There's so many different things to become aware of in how your shoes feel.
Yeah. And there's more shoe brands. Like the barefoot wave is definitely rising more and more. And
Hmm.
it's slowly getting into some more, like I know Zero shoes, Zero brand, like I don't know the name of the company fully, but Zero, the name of the shoe brand,
Yes,
they have a NBA player who's like sponsored, and he wears their shoes on the court during his games.
good.
Um and I think that's the only one that I know of. There's other shoes that are making like custom or barefoot cleats for football and soccer. I want to say baseball too. I actually have an interview. I'm gonna have them on the podcast later this season. And then, so I know it's happening, and the evolution is occurring. Like even seeing my timeline is all barefoot people. So I
Yeah.
saw that Ronaldo and LeBron were both seen wearing barefoot shoes. I think they were seen in the Vibram feet, the Vibram Five Finger shoes
Yes, I love
during
that.
the yeah during their off court off field training,
Because
which
that's
is
how we
which
come to take it.
right, which is another part of it. It's like
Yeah.
if they're not going to wear the shoe, like LeBron's going to wear Nikes. Like he's gonna wear, he's that deal. He's not about to
Yeah,
cut that
say
deal.
he has a Nike,
He has a
you
full
know,
obligation to that. So he not about
he's
to put on no,
LeBron James. He can't,
yeah. So, but off court, I mean, he can still do what is smart for his feet.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's also been like dragged his whole career about his feet, looking crazy. And
You're
it's like,
shoving them in something that they don't belong in.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what's
And
going
it's like, and I think for elite athletes at that level, like at that size,
Yes.
like when you're 6'6" and above, you're wearing sizes like 15, 16. You can't go to Marshalls and get a shoe. You can't go to Foot Locker. You have to custom order your shoes. It's a lot. So you, as a kid, you may have squeezed into shoes because
Yes.
you ain't have the money. Like,
Yes.
hey, baby, I know your foot's big, but the biggest they have here is a 14. You gonna have to
Exactly.
make
I
it
mean, a
work.
lot of these athletes, they have the Cinderella story. They have the rags to riches story. So these were the kids just getting up, going outside, practicing at 5 a.m. and whatever they could put on their feet. So, like
Right.
you said, they're used to it.
And imagine if there wasn't a cultural confinement that's like, I need to wear shoes. Imagine those size 15s actually allowed themselves to be size 15s and they just trained barefoot on their own, right? They're getting up early and doing whatever, like, cool, do all that, train on your own. So at least your foot is functioning more times than not freely versus shoving them into a shoe that's smaller to make you in it while you're not on the court. You're not at practice. You're literally just on your own, shooting free throws, doing whatever, running up
Yes.
and down the field, whatever sport you're doing. Imagine you just have the ability to just free your feet, run, jump, train, do everything you normally do, but now your foot is functioning properly. And then you put it into a shoe, which kind of goes to I like to look at like runners, like
Yeah.
the Kenyans, the Jamaicans, just like, all the all the melanated people all over the world that come from that come from lower economic areas that can't afford shoes. Like
Yeah.
they have school shoes, they have church shoes.
And that's it. And you
They don't
bet your not
have
going to shows up.
either of them. So when you go to play, you're going to play barefoot. You're going to run, you're going to run barefoot. You're playing soccer. I remember living in Belize. And this 3-year-old little girl was walking across just walking across the street, but the street is like gravel and rock and just sand and she's just walking barefoot just easily. And I'm like, I'm in my flip flops, and I took my shoe out one time, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, this is hot and it's stiff, and I'm
Right.
like, this is in the beginning stages of my barefoot life, and I'm like, I need to train my feet better. Like, why this little girl is just cruising now,
Yeah.
granted, it's the pressure is not the same because I weigh more, but it's still like it's still hot and it's still like hard rocks.
Yeah.
And she's not budging. If anything, she's probably running, like easily just floating across to me what feels like hot coal. And she's just floating by, but it's the conditioning. Like if that's like her foot at that point in time was more intelligent than mine. It was able to adapt to anything. And I think you're in the best position to start to normalize this to help the youth, like young athletes. Hey, let's get more barefoot. Let's train this foot to be an intelligent foot
Yes.
so that way it could perform in whatever shoe it's in. So if like all these conventional or whatever normal shoe brands, the Nike, the Adidas, the New Balance, etc., they're coming out with all this extra super technology, and it's like the the greatest technology that exists that God invented is the human foot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we can embrace that and unlock all the keys to the human foot at a young age and make that a cool culture, understanding that like, hey, you'll perform better because your foot is smart from 15, 14, 12, even 17. I feel like we will start to catapult and we'll start to like live a different life because the athletes have a say. If the athletes say, hey, Nike, your shoes suck. Adidas, your shoes suck.
There'll be barefoot Adidas and barefoot Nike on the shelves real quick.
Yeah,
Real quick.
yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
and or just create the lane for the other shoe brands that already exist that have been doing it, have been like putting in the research, putting in the efforts to do it, or you know, Shameless, not shameless plug. Yeah, shameless plug. When the Barefoot Games is launched, there'll
Yeah.
be a space for them to be like, "Oh yeah, I train my feet. I want to compete against the other athletes who also wear barefoot shoes or are just completely barefoot."
Yeah. No, it has to happen because look right now. There's so many career-ending injuries, there's so many season-ending injuries, and most of them are from the waist down. So it goes back to how is your hip affected because your step is off? How is your knee affected? How is your Achilles affected? All of this.
Yeah.
It all starts with if you had a strong foot, a healthy foot, a foot that adapts, you have ankles that have stability, prevent the rolls. It all prevents you from being on the injured list. So it has
How
to happen.
so in FRC, I know FRC's mobility specifically. How do you feel? How did you test during that mobility section? Like when you first did it?
I had little to no control over my ankles. Like, it's amazing when you really sit there and isolate your joints and see how they can move on their own. I had little to no control. Like, I go to do an ankle circle, and one of the things you look for is when you go on to descend, are you just dropping? And my circles be like, okay. Like, there is nothing smooth or even about it. And now like I said, I feel the difference in how I'm walking. I feel the difference in driving. Like that's a major factor for me as well.
Mm,
Sitting in the car every day as I'm driving and we're working that gas pedal. It's not just me alone, but that's an ankle exercise that people are doing for hours a day that they don't train for.
yeah, yeah,
So it's the everyday task. So it's not just for the athletes that need this. It is for the everyday task.
yeah. Where do you feel like, so that was for you. Where do you feel like your athletes that you train, what's their most challenging line? Like what's the most common challenging mobility exercise, like shin down, or I should say knee down?
Knee down is footwork, toe dexterity. It's the ability to even think about moving their toes independently of one another. And that's like, it seems like such an easy task. It lift your toes up, try to piano your toes. And it's just, you see people like almost dumbfound because you were staring at your foot and you are putting energy into what you think you can move.
And they're
And
not
you really
moving.
come to the realization that you have no control over your
Yeah.
middle toe, like zero. Like, it
Yeah.
might not even be connected to you.
Yeah. It's
And I think that's the like aha moment for them.
yeah.
And then it's like, okay, we're gonna work on that. And even if we don't get 100% to the point where you can piano them, we're gonna keep working on putting strength there. And then you'll be able to start to spread them and you'll start to see the difference. And that's when you know you're on the right track. Because it takes time, but it's what can you see? What can you notice after a couple of sessions? What can you do at home while you're sitting on a couch? That's one other great thing about footwork. Like you can sit in class for 8 hours. You can do footwork and ankle work at
Yeah.
your desk.
Yeah. And now if you have barefoot shoes, you could do more. But if you got them Jordans on or foam posits on or anything,
You're not doing much.
your toes can't do much.
Your toe can't do much, but you can rotate the ankle. You can get strength in. But I'd say
Yeah,
that is the biggest realization, and that's the hardest thing is to put strength into your toes.
yeah. I think one of the biggest exercises, and you may or may not know this one. I went and did I'm a barefoot movement coach. I did the training with Vivo Barefoot, and one of the exercises that I was super unaware of, our lower leg is like our powerhouse for our body, like in movement and walking and gait and running. And the calf, we should be able to do single left calf raises of, I want to say twice our body weight.
Interesting.
Right, right.
Yes.
So, and the visual of that is like to be able to stand, and I don't know if I'll even get this on camera, is to be able to stand on one leg and then do calf raises or toe, yeah, or heel raises, however you want to call them, and be able to do that like times 10. And it's like, I'm at 4 and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like it's about to
And
explode.
you're at your body weight plus some headphones. Like,
Exactly. I'm supposed to do double my body. And I'm like, what? On an individual leg. And I think that's one of the biggest exercises that can strengthen your whole lower body, like specifically foot and like just the mechanics of it. And I share that to say, I think that's one of the best movements and exercises I would advise for any athlete, because at the end of the day, like performance is the thing. Like, how can I move faster? How can I feel stronger?
yeah,
That's what every athlete wants. And that's the biggest one that I feel like even like the toe dexterity, like I didn't have it. I'm better now. I'm not who plays who's the Mozart? Am I tripping? That's a
yes,
piano guy, right? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm not
yes,
Mozart on my feet. I'm like, oh, piano people. I'm like, my
yes,
son, he got piano class in like 30 minutes. I'm like, I'm not my son on the piano, but um my feet are doing better with it.
hmm
And I think even increasing that and wearing toe spacers and doing all the things like that helps make my feet feel free, but help my feet feel like my whole like system move powerfully is definitely going to be from that exercise. I feel like is the
yes,
one is the biggest shock value of like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to do how much weight with
yes,
this? It's wild.
yes. That is definitely like I beg your pardon. Like what?
Yeah.
Yes.
If there, what is the question I want to ask? What advice, or if there's a parent listening and they have a 12-year-old, a 17-year-old, or anywhere in that range, what is the thing you want them to know most important, feet or not related, or just for their athlete? Like they have a son, like, oh, this I got the next LeBron, or I got the next Steph Curry, I got the next Messi, whoever their son or daughter is, I
hmm
got the next Serena. You know what I mean? Like, what advice would you give them for
The
their
advice
child?
that I would give any parent right now is to prioritize recovery just as much as you prioritize training, and make sure you're training joint specifically. Because when you really understand where most of the injuries in sports are coming from these days, they're not coming from contact. They're coming from misuse of the body. They're coming from you bent the paperclip one too many times and it snapped. So the more that you understand how your body moves, the more you tap into joint specific strength and joint specific training, you're setting yourself up for longevity. You're setting yourself up to understand how you move and move smart and train smart.
I love that. And you're a mother, yeah?
Yes.
How old is your son?
My son is 13. So a lot of talks about preparing him for the future.
How do you feel about, I think we are, I feel like I'm out of touch, but I feel like I remember there was a levels of time, which you still could be in, where sport specific training at a young age was so dominant. Like you have 5-year-olds in like basketball camp and all they do is just basketball through because their parents want them to do it, or
Yes.
at 8 years old, 9 years old, it's just basketball or it's soccer all the way through. It's how do you feel
Yes.
about that versus the older era of like play all sports and
I feel
then find
like
your thing?
you should definitely allow your child to do a mix of everything. And that's just not to me in sports. That's just with the more doors you open for your child, the more opportunity they're going to have to walk their own paths, later on in life. But I definitely feel let them play different sports because different sports sometimes will give them a skill and a mastery for even their dominant sport, if you will. Like if they need speed, put them in track. Let them focus on just running because if they are playing football, yes, running is a huge part of it, but their football coach can't have them spend weeks just focusing on running. They have to bring in the other drills, they have to bring in the other skills. So, what sport maybe is going to enhance the skill that your child needs in their dominant sport. I think that to me would be how you create a well-rounded athlete and a
Yeah.
coachable athlete.
There's yeah, I love that. I remember during the FRC training I left with the idea of like um and I did my training back in 2019. And I remember Spina mentioning like all sports are made up things. Like
Yeah.
they're not human specific, right? So it's like
Yes.
it's not a human thing to throw a baseball from a said certain distance for 100 miles per hour over and over and over for nine innings. Like that's all that's made up. So, but like, how do we help a human just perform as a human? And it's like, and introduce the human body to all forms of movement so that way it could do them all naturally. And then now it has different capabilities and it builds strength. Like if I'm pitching a baseball, but I'm also shooting a basketball, but I'm also kicking a soccer ball, I'm developing my joints in different ways for fun. It doesn't have to be super competitive, but just for
Yeah.
fun. Now I'm developing, and when I do choose to, I don't know, to end up playing baseball, my joints are developed in a healthy way in all ranges of motion versus the kid who only plays baseball maybe doesn't even know how to kick.
Hmm.
And then because that connection in their mind and body has not made its way through, when it comes down to doing something else, and they're more susceptible to injury because there's a pathway that was never opened up for their body.
Yeah. There's ranges of motion, there's directions they've never tapped into. There's so much that's lacking. And that's why
Yeah.
it's like then it's also the concept of like, sorry, I had a thought, lost it. Um, when you were talking about just the different movements, it just also taps into just different body awareness because to play baseball versus to play football, you're having to use your arms differently. You're having to get into different positions. You're learning different ways of balance, different ways of shifting your weight, different proprioception, just all the different things that now maybe you can take onto a football field. And now you have a better pivot because you've
Yeah.
been sitting there swinging. So now when you need to cut across the football field, you have that movement in the hips because you worked on it in base.
Right. And things start to like crossbreed and start to make sense.
Yes.
Also, the biggest thing, like you mentioned, recovery, you actually reduce chances of injury because you were exposed to more movement.
Yes.
And I always think about if I'm teaching somebody how to cross the street, like teaching a kid how to cross the street, if they never crossed the street before. And I think like very much like New York City, like kind of chaotic. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, cross the street. For the first time, it's like, well, I don't know what to do. But if somebody said, hey, look left, look right, look left again, look right again, look left again, because you got to look like 8 times anyway. And keep looking as you're crossing the street while looking
Yes.
forward.
Especially in New York.
Like, but if no one tells you that, you may just walk out there and you're more susceptible to get injured or get hurt in some
Yes.
capacity because no one's told you to like look to do all these things while crossing the street. And it's the same thing in the body and like preparing things. Like somebody needs to like walk you through how to take the steps or how to do the things or do all the things. So then later, like now I could kind of like I could cross the street while holding kids and being on the phone and while looking all the ways. I'm looking behind me and I'm like, oh yeah, come on, let's go, hurry up.
Yes.
Where the first time I'm like, oh my gosh, there's cars. They're going like 1,000 miles per hour. And it's like, they're, they're going 20, but okay.
Yeah. But it becomes, second nature to you. Or I think another crossbreeding of sports that's important is you mentioned it in one of your body work posts a few weeks ago. Say you are a runner. So you're mainly moving in one plane. You're in extension and flexion most of the time. And your hip gets used to that. But what happens when you fall and your leg swings, out? Your hip may be strong. You think you have a great hip, but your hip's still only used to that one repetitive motion over and over.
Yeah.
So that's where, again, injuries come in. I've shown some of my athletes, football players, and we're training, and I'm like, okay, you need to get into a split. They're like, I need to get into a split. Well, maybe not for aesthetics, but what happens when you fall and you land into a split? Can your body safely go into that motion? And that's another thing. We're playing different sports. You allow your body to safely open up into different paths, different motions.
Yeah. It's all of it is preparing for any variation. And I think something else I got from FRC and Spina is like the athlete that's able to produce the same result from different variations, from all different, like, if I could jump, let's say I'm thinking about long jump. If I could jump 22 feet, but I could do it whether my run up is different, whether I take off is different, whether the weather is different. Like, if
Mhm.
I could do it in all different capacities, I'm a better athlete than the person who needs it a very specific way each and every
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Uh,
There's always going to be variables, even in a predictable sport. Like I say, track to me is a predictable sport because on a perfect track day, you're going to get in your lane, you're going to run, and you're going to stay in your lane until you cross the finish line. Whereas like football, you're going to get on the field and you're going to zigzag and run in circles and get tackled a bunch of times, no matter what your position is. Like, so there's predictable sports and there's non-predictable sports, but anything could still happen in the predictable sports. There's always risk of injury, there's always risk of falling, and it's just making sure your body can, sustain that fall.
yeah. Yeah, and as a track athlete, I mean, I want to fight more of like, is it so predictable? But I guess I get what you're saying. Like, yes, there's a start line, there's a finish line. I know you're gonna go from here to there. Where,
Yes, on a perfect day, there's still
yeah, yeah,
several variations.
yeah. But I guess compared to on a football, like a football game, like after the hike, there's a play that's set out,
Yeah,
but it's not said like this play is not gonna get you to the touchdown. Where I am gonna finish the race in 9 times out of 10, unless I
it's
pop
like
this or
improv versus a Shakespeare. Like that script is tried and true. Like, could somebody mess up? Could something fall on stage? Yes. But
yeah. That's
if you go see Romeo and Juliet and it's the classic version, you know what the lines are going to be.
fair,
You,
fair.
you go to improv, like, you know the subject maybe, but it can go any way.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Um, I have a few questions to wrap us up. Um,
Mhm.
this is like my rapid fire of like barefoot questions. So,
Okay.
your favorite shoes. This could be barefoot shoes or not, but just your favorite shoes.
My favorite shoes, I would say Uggs. And maybe for the reason that people love barefoot shoes is because there's no arch in them. Your foot is able to kind of move. You have some more space. It's able to adapt to the shoe as it needs to.
Socks or no socks?
Depends on the shoe, but I am a sock person. If I'm in a shoe, I'm weird. I also say like I'm like a little kid. Like as soon as it gets warm out, though, I have to be like in open toe sandals, something. But yes,
Um, your favorite space to be barefoot?
home, the beach,
Favorite number one space.
the beach,
Beach is nice. Favorite warm up for the body to, whether for your athletes to do or just for you to do.
yoga,
Your favorite recovery, the best recovery to do.
also yoga. I mean, there's so many different ways to practice it. But yeah, also yoga, meditation,
And your least favorite thing to do barefoot.
uneven ground. Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to get like you. Like when I see you run barefoot, I'm like, but how? Like I respect and I understand the why. But
I low key, it's funny as I'm getting closer to Christ and all of these things. I'm
yes,
like, I low key want to be able to run in a sandal and almost like dress up like what Jesus looked like, quote unquote. And like, but in sandals and like run, like, and do like a 10K in some sandals and like, yo, look at my
whatever
guy.
you
Look at
do,
Black Jesus out here.
please pay somebody to be like on a moped next to you with a camera, with like a GoPro. Like I need to see the whole thing.
Yeah, like get the thing to tie, around my hair, like,
Yeah.
get the white gown type just flowing,
You
just
wanna
with the
run in
belt.
some chancletas is what you're
Listen,
saying.
and just get but they're gonna be barefoot. They're gonna be wrapped around my feet. It's gonna be like the warrior style ones wrapped around my ankle, just really strapped in good. Yeah, but
Okay.
um,
You
la
oh, it was
yeah,
enough planning. Forget the camera guy. I need to be there in person. Just
yeah. I'm gonna pop up to New York and do one of the 10Ks, or I don't know.
okay.
Maybe I really love this whole running thing and do a half marathon again and do a marathon. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. What shoes do you miss wearing that you stopped wearing because of your awareness to foot health?
I stopped wearing I would say any shoe that honestly is not comfortable. It's not a brand specific. It's the shoe specific. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it costs. I was in Marshalls the other day and they had some Nike Air Maxes for like $35. And I was like, oh, good deal. Oh no. I don't care if these are free. Like this
Yeah.
does not feel right on my foot.
So, but it's not one shoe you feel like, ooh, I do miss putting those on.
No. I was never really like a huge like sneakerhead person. Like I, liked putting an outfit together, but not anything that I miss because
Yeah.
I've always, if it's not comfortable, I can't do it.
I was a hardcore Adidas guy. Like
Hmm.
I might have, I thought about getting tattoos, getting an Adidas logo tattoo.
Oh,
Like I
so
was
you
like
you
intense. Like I'll fight people down like about Nikes. I'll be like, what you mean? Like stripes over checks all day, like three stripe
you
gang.
you was in there.
In it. And so yeah, I do miss putting on a good pair of Adidas. Like I like just yeah. Like and not the super running ones, but like just a simple Ultra Boost, which is like a common running but more so
Mhm.
stylish one. I miss it. Um Not that bad. 'Cause I'm like, ooh, like that's terrible. Like I'm now looking at it, I'm like, did I even feel the ground? Like I just
Yeah,
love the fact that it was just so bouncy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just floating. But now I'm like, I want to feel the unevenness of the ground.
but I got to get to that point where that feels okay.
Yeah, it's in stages. I'm also very obsessive and aggressive in my nature of things.
Mhm.
But yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. My normal sign off here. Well, actually, first, before I do that, where can people find you? What can they expect to see from you if you have anything coming up, or what are you doing on a regular basis?
Yeah. So where can they find me? They can find me on Instagram at Recovery by Aya, and that's spelled AYA. I'm located in Bergen County, New Jersey. I do have a studio, which I'm in right now. It's called Aya Flex Studio, also on Instagram. And right now, I'm really honing in on work with, like I said, young athletes, high school programs, college programs, AU. My focus right now is really just making sure this next generation can stay in the game for as long as possible. And that starts with working with them at this age.
Beautiful. Coach Jasmine, thank you so much for being here, for having this amazing conversation. And yeah, our sign off will be stronger the feet, stronger the athlete. And this has been another episode of the Bare Athlete Podcast. Peace.
Talk to you later.